So, looking at the present and like our current state of affairs in terms of like our different demographics,
Yes.
I feel like there are some things that we could work on as a community or that can contribute to our overall like happiness
Yeah, I agree.
and success. Yeah. And one of the biggest issues I think we're facing as a community is fatherlessness.
For sure.
You know, that's
For
one.
sure. I feel like a lot of people like to duck and dodge that topic just because like it's a stereotype.
Yeah.
Not because it doesn't actually exist, and then not because there aren't actual reasons for it.
Right. But there's not really like that's why it's called a conversation we don't have. There's never really like an open like attempt to address that really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And fewer than 2/5 of black children were living with two married parents in 2020. These children were most likely to live with their mothers only, with nearly half living in this arrangement in 2020, and 46.3% of children under 18 lived with their mothers. So yeah.
That's almost half.
Yep. 37.9% didn't have like married parents, and 8% were orphans. 4.5% lived with their father only.
So it's really kind of like half and half. 46% who live with just their mother, and then pretty much the whole other half who live with their father. Did I hear that right?
No, even smaller than that. Like 4.5% live with their father, and really 8%. I think it's 8% that live with no parents. So that suggests that 8% live with like their grandparents.
That's a lot.
So more live with their grandparents than their father. Yep. And one of the effects of like fatherlessness, the absence of a father's consistent presence can lead to feelings of abandonment, rejection, and low self-worth.
I feel like it might not be as transparent of a topic.
Right. Because
I feel like you can definitely see that in like, not just to fall into stereotypes, but like when you don't have like a certain figure that's like societally normal for people, like you feel that other people are judging you by that, and then you're always searching for some form of acceptance. Whatever that acceptance is, I don't know. Like it can be a positive thing where like you invest yourself in like sports or clubs or like investing back in other people, but it can also be something negative like violence, drugs. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's a lot of the reason why you do see people fall into that category, because they're searching for something that they can't find that fulfills them in that way, and then they end up in the wrong place with the wrong people.
Right, exactly. They're looking kind of like, sometimes I guess we look for father figures in the wrong places.
Yeah.
I think that could be part of that too. Yeah, definitely it does contribute to crime rate, and I do agree with like the self-worth part too, because it's like if you as a man don't really have like an example to follow, you're kind of like you're lost at that point.
And then so like the first example you do get,
you're
probably prone to latch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then there's also like questioning yourself, like, did I not deserve a father, or
like was there something wrong with me personally?
Was there something? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you could even be concerned about like repeating the same cycle.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say it seems cyclical. Like you can either get caught up so much in like trying to not repeat it that like
you're like fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. But then like I don't know. I feel like it doesn't set you up for success necessarily.
It doesn't. It doesn't help. That's in the statistics too. Like all right, we'll just go in general. In general, children who grow up with absent fathers can suffer lasting damage. They're more likely to end up in poverty, drop out of school, become addicted to drugs, have a child out of wedlock, or end up in prison. Children have a diminished self-concept and compromise physical and emotional security. Behavioral problems, that makes sense. Yep, because you don't really have anybody like, well, not only does it, I feel like that would especially be the case for like men too, because like frustration and like aggression that you could like feel because of that,
Right.
and you might not even have like you don't have the figure to even give you the discipline to learn, how to cope with that feeling or those like emotions in general. Delinquency, youth crime, violent crime, promiscuity, teen pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, that was part of it. Homelessness, and it also renders like children vulnerable to exploitation and abuse, including like physical and sexual abuse too. So yeah, you got all that going on. That wasn't even the end of the list.
That's a long list.
Yup, and then it can also affect like your relationships when you're older, like actually like even romantically.
Because I feel like there's like a trust factor.
Yeah.
That's missing.
Yeah, exactly. For men and women, I could imagine like for a girl too, if she doesn't have a father figure, she doesn't really have an example of like what a good man is or what a good
how
man
she should
like.
be expected to be treated.
Yeah, how she should expect to be treated. So I think I kind of have a theory when it comes to that too. Well, in general, this doesn't even pertain only to like fatherlessness, but in terms of like trauma, like overall, including fatherlessness, I feel to my observations, I could be wrong, but it's likely that men at that point would go for, or they don't have the knowledge to choose correct partners, so they might go for like beauty, sexual conquest, or that pertains to absent mothers too. I feel like
I feel like when there's any hole in like a parent, whether present or not, that aren't adequately fulfilling their duties,
right,
then that can lead to a whole bunch of issues. Like you can have a parent, like you can have a father that's absent, and like you will end up with like X, Y, and Z tendencies. But you can have a fully present father, but that father is like abusive,
yeah.
So like you can get the same issues,
right,
whether the presence is there or not.
Right.
It's about, if the presence is there, it's more about like what is happening in that dynamic.
Right, what they're doing.
That can lead to all sorts of things.
Because sometimes in some scenarios it could be worse to have like if the father is
like present and abusive,
yeah,
it's like I would much rather you not be there. Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of him.
Throw him in the trash.
Oh, bro. But yeah, it kind of misconstrues like your how you idealize love too, like your perception of love or what it means to be loved or what you should look for in a partner, like in general. It makes me think about like this. You hip to Jeezy, like the rapper Jeezy?
Moderately.
Your dad probably bumped him.
A little bit.
Okay, so he had a interview with Nia Long, where he was interviewed by Nia Long, and they were talking about like his new album and how he recently had a divorce and his childhood dynamics with his mom, all that stuff. And Nia Long also talked about like her experiences too. And they were in the conversation. They were talking about like their relationship history.
Okay.
And she brought up that she asked him if he was guarded. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I can tell because I'm guarded too. And like they were talking about how he used to like deal drugs, or he was selling drugs.
Right.
And she even said like, yeah, I could tell like you're guarded and that you were a drug dealer because I used to go for drug dealers because I'm guarded too.
Right.
And that.
So it's like the types of people are attracting each other, and there's not, more often than not, there's not growth.
Exactly. And I think it's even more complicated than that. Not only do we replace like the values we should look for with like bad ones at times, but I think sometimes we do that because it's kind of confirmation of what we already believe. It's kind of like confirmation.
It's easier to go that route than it is to build yourself out of that.
Right. Yeah.
Because I feel like we would be doing the topic a disservice if like we didn't necessarily talk about like how far out of that we have also come. Like on the flip side, like fatherlessness is like cyclical because it's like, you don't have that example, you don't have that figure, so you go out searching for something else. then XYZ happens. You bring a kid into a world and they're in that exact same situation. They do the exact same thing that you did, but eventually, like, there's a person who breaks that cycle.
Yep, exactly. It's gotta be you. It's gotta be you.
It's hard work,
It is.
It might, like, honestly, I feel like it might seem like the odds are like stacked against you. Like, no matter how hard you try to like do this right thing, like you're gonna have doubts within yourself because growth is just scary.
It is. Because you challenging literally like everything that you know.
Right. And then everyone else around you probably thinks you're crazy because they're stuck where they're at because of the same, And so it's just like, it takes a lot to come out of that. And I feel like the people that do, like, you're not going to be perfect your first try. Like, it's going to take a few generations to kind of...
It can, absolutely.
Unf the fuckery,
Literally.
for lack of better terms. I don't know if YouTube blurps out things, but
I can do it.
Yeah. But I feel like it takes a few tries.
Yep. Because it's scary.
Yes.
It's unknown territory.
Exactly.
Another issue that we're still facing, we've been facing for a while, is like incarceration. Fatherless has been contributed to by mass incarceration.
Yes.
And I think, what was it, the 80s? When the war on drugs, that was part of it. And we know now that, like,
how insignificant
how it happened.
That, like, it's not the event itself is insignificant, but it's just crazy because the whole war on drugs things happened. But you fast forward to a time today, and there are still people in prison for crimes that have now been legalized.
Yeah.
And like,
that's crazy. I feel like it says a lot.
The math doesn't math for me.
I think even on a federal level, like there's been like a marijuana related product too that was legalized.
Probably. I don't know.
I think so.
But
the government profits off of that stuff too. But still, a lot of people are still incarcerated because of that.
And I think it was something I saw a while ago. But like the consumption, like if just marijuana, I'm gonna stick there, is the same amongst black people and white people. It's not like black people smoke more weed than white people, or vice versa. But like the arrest rates for those crimes are like terribly disproportionate.
Yep, we're overrepresented. I was just looking at that. Racial disparities in local jail incarceration rates. Local number of people in local jails per 100,000 people in each race. 592 black people are arrested per every 100,000, compared to 401 American Indian or Alaska Native.
Which is still high.
That's crazy. That's
high.
Oh my God.
And then it's like less than half of that.
Right. For white people, or not Hispanic white people, 187 per 100,000, or 182 for Hispanic people.
Yeah, per 100,000.
Per 100,000. That's crazy. Yeah, that's nuts.
I think if you go back to like the fact that the usage is the same in terms of like the amount of people who engage with marijuana, but like the arrest rate is like astronomically different.
Yep, hella different. And then not only that, but like let's say even for the people who actually, like black people who do commit crimes or like more serious crimes, right?
Yeah.
That
manslaughter.
Yeah, manslaughter, all that stuff.
Yes.
That's a symptom of a larger problem too, because that ties back into the other issue, like what we talk about, like fatherlessness.
Right.
So that contributes to that number too.
Because you have the violence portion of that.
Yup. Exactly. And there's also differences in mental health amongst like the black community too.
Yep.
Did you ever learn about the dog test?
No, I don't know what that is.
I think it was called the dog test. It had to be like the 60s or 70s. But there was a test done where they took black girls and white girls. They had a black dog and they had a white dog. They were the same dog.
Right, just different skin color.
Yep, different skin color. And the overall, like everybody pointed to the white one being prettier versus the black one.
Yeah.
So during that time, that spoke a lot to beauty standards and the black African American experience and how we viewed ourselves and things of that nature.
So it's like it's so deep that it's coming back right at yourself. Like you're thinking things to your own detriment, whether you realize it or not.
Exactly. And we have gotten better in that aspect in terms of beauty standards. But mental health is still a stigma. There's still a lot of stigma about mental health, especially in the African American community, I say. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a stigma amongst men in general, just across all races too, but especially in the African American community in terms of men and women.
Yeah. I think a huge thing, and I don't know if you grew up hearing this, it's just that mental illness and therapy or mental health stuff is white people stuff.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Craziest thing ever. Especially because if you look at what develops out of trauma, if there is a people group who has experienced trauma, it's black people. Yeah. So and then to come out of trauma and expect to not have any mental repercussions for that, right, and be it's all good. Yeah, it's let's be for real.
That is wild.
You're out here fighting each other over resources, but you're not seeing the bigger picture of why you don't have it.
Exactly.
And you're not connecting those dots, or I don't know. And I feel the fact that black parents feel the need to say that to their kids is just a whole problem within themselves. It or
is. Because it's even if you don't do it, you could at least I feel you should at least be courageous enough to tell your child you know what, I'm not comfortable going that route, but you try to go ahead and go for it. Yeah.
Or even or the traditional mom thing, she just yelled at you, she probably beat your ass for something. Will she apologize?
Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
What's she gonna say? She said, "Come eat."
Yep, come eat. Yeah. And you know what you gonna do?
You gonna eat.
Take your ass to eat.
Exactly. And then the fact that it's when is there ever an apology? That's
rarely.
Or you'll get the oh, this isn't that bad. My parents did worse to me, and it's
yeah, and that's not hopeful.
It's but did you like that?
Right.
And it just...
It's a cycle.
It perpetuates it, yeah. Because
exactly.
It's when they were a kid, obviously they realized that they didn't like that and that it was wrong. Mm-hmm. But they didn't take the time, or they didn't have the resources to know,
assess why.
Exactly. Or, know any different. So then it's they just keep doing that. Which is crazy.
That's crazy.
I swear all black kids have the same experience.
Yeah, bro, for real.
It's spot on, word for word.
That's scripts, literally.
I know.
African American culture.
It's black moms were blueprinted the same way.
For real, because that's my mama for sure. She's stubborn. If I'm speaking honestly, I don't have the best relationship with my mom. We're a little bit estranged.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And my dad too, in terms of the conversation around getting therapy and all that stuff, mm-hmm. My dad would be so comfortable having conversations with me about what he's going through, and he'll, Chris, what do I do? I'm going through this and this and this, and I'm bro, I can't help you. Go to therapy. I can give you my advice.
And they're no,
right. I don't need therapy. I don't need no weird. This is what he always say. I don't need no weird white person staring at me and.
To get a black therapist, dang.
Literally.
Yeah.
Right. Or anybody.
Anyone else.
It's he has this idea that he can't share that information with a stranger. Right. Or that no stranger can
because
help him.
I don't know, maybe it's just a fear of being vulnerable, a fear of being honest.
Right.
A fear of it could just be crying, honestly.
Yeah.
But
shoot. Me personally, I'll probably trust a stranger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Family.
Telling somebody I know, I'm ooh.
Yeah, you ain't gonna look at me the same.
No, I was hearing voices last night. It's nigga, you good?
Right. Then you gotta show up today, the next day, it never happened.
Right, and it's I don't want to be around you anymore.
Right.
But I'll tell my therapist that, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, it's their
That's
job.
their job. They get paid for it.
They're like, I hear them too, and it's like,
right.
I don't know if I want to see you no more.
Man. It's not trauma bombing. That's not what it's called, is it? It's
borderline. No.
They feel like it sometimes, though.
So like trauma bonding is like
bombing.
Bombing. Oh yeah, no,
Trauma
there's
bombing.
no such thing as trauma bonding.
There's no such thing as that.
Trauma bombing?
Or trauma dumping? Is
Trauma
it
dumping? Yes and no. Like yes, it is a thing, but like I would much rather somebody like I guess tell me all of their shit than like have no one else to tell it to. And
yeah,
then,
no,
it'd
yeah.
be a problem.
No
but
facts.
I do think there comes a point in which like you can only offer somebody so much,
Yeah.
and then like they need professional help.
Yeah, and actually, like there was like studies or research shown like that proves too that like yeah, of course it's good to like help somebody, and I wouldn't like turn my back on my family and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it does contribute to your stress.
Oh, absolutely.
Like hearing all of that.
Because like you can't like hear something about somebody that you genuinely care about and then like not be concerned. And if you weren't concerned, then you have a problem.
Right, no, for real. No, that's wild. Not
Yeah.
concerned. But even like social workers, that's why they have a hard time too. Like my girlfriend, she worked in social work for a while because she was saying it was like taking a toll on her.
Yeah, especially because like if you're a type of person that internalizes like other people's feelings or problems, then it becomes a huge problem.
Right.
For you to like cope with all of that.
Yeah.
And like your own stresses too.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can only do so much, like you said. I didn't have enough time to research like the specifics of where we are with education, but I discovered this study that was done because I was listening to a podcast. It was Amala Apukanopi. Amala. Anyway, Amala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First name important, last name.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I reacted to like one of her videos recently.
Okay.
But in one of the videos I watched, she referenced this study that was conducted by an economist about like what was holding like black kids back in school.
Okay.
And so the way he did the study was that he would organize like the kids who had like the worst grades and the best grades and all that stuff, right?
Right.
And he found that the more that the kids like grades improved and their GPA improved, the fewer friends they had.
Oh, so it's a social thing.
Yep, it's a social thing. It was like
interesting.
It's like I guess the context or the underlying like idea of it was that you're less likely to be popular. People are less likely
to like you if you have good grades.
If you had good grades, or if you like showed that you were smart, and
then you would have less friends.
Yeah, and that really hit home with me too personally,